I love SEO, and I see a lot of people not doing the basics right. The basic fundamentals have not been done.
An SEO trainer and consultant
with over 22 years of experience.
And let's all please welcome Craig Campbell.
Do you think it is ethical to buy these credibility marks to look credible?
So a lot of things have changed. You have to be more creative when it comes to link building.
One of the most curious questions I love to ask is, what's your plan to stay relevant for the, let's say, next 10 years or more?
I think a lot of people are stubborn and they don't like to change their mindset. And I think that's a really dangerous mindset. With AI, we're getting new tools every other day. And we've got to embrace them, we've got to test them, we've got to understand how they work, how they can benefit us.
So please welcome Craig Campbell. Hey, Craig.
Hey, RJ. Thank you for the nice introduction.
Awesome. Thank you so much. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you. Yeah, I'm traveling later today to Brighton SEO to another event. But yeah, I've got time to talk. And yeah, before I go on my travels again.
Oh, wow. That's cool. So like, walk us through a little bit, like how you actually stumbled upon the SEO part almost like 2 decades ago and fell in love with it and like, stayed consistent for over 2 decades. Like how that journey started for you.
So I left school around about 1997. And I didn't really know what I wanted to do as a job, as many young people experience the same. But at around about that time is when the dial-up connection came out. The internet came to people's homes.
Yep.
So it was quite an exciting time in people's life, being able to email, talk to people on MSN, look at your house on Google Earth. So things like that became quite a big thing. Now, at that point, I didn't jump straight into SEO. I started to enjoy online. I used to spend a lot of time on it, and I went down the web design route. And I tried to learn HTML.
Yeah.
I was really bad at it, and I tried it for a few years, realized that it probably wasn't going to be the best way forward. And the next best thing was SEO, trying to rank websites online. So at the time, it's early 2000s at this point. There wasn't a whole heap of people doing this stuff. There was only forums where you were able to learn. We didn't have YouTube, we didn't have networking, we didn't have Facebook. So it was a long learning curve, and it probably took me 3 or 4 years to try and get a grasp on what SEO was. So yeah, I was an early adopter, but that made it really difficult to try and get away from doing web design and fully into SEO. But I made it in the end, so it just took a bit of time.
Yeah, wow, that's really amazing. Like how you were able to actually, first of all, ride the wave of SEO and actually, started to like took off like when it was like completely new, and then it kind of like started to blew the market itself as well. One thing that I'm really curious to ask about is how SEO have changed in the past 2 decades from the time when you started out to now. What are the elements that have actually changed in the last 2 decades, if you want to list down?
So things that have changed. So a lot of things have changed, but not changed. So it's always been about content and link building. So that part has never changed. However, you do have like Google My Business came into play around about 2011. How link building is done has changed dramatically over the years. Before, back in the day, a link was a link. It really didn't matter. It was just number of links was all that mattered, which is why we used to do social bookmarking, blog spam, all of the stuff that you still sometimes hear about, that stuff was really effective back in the day. Obviously now Google, and the constant algorithm updates are trying to counter against that. So you have to be more creative when it comes to link building. We've now got AI, which we didn't have. So a lot of things have changed over the years, and probably for the better, to be honest, because the big thing is Google was really easy to manipulate back then. Keyword-rich domain names. You bought a keyword-rich domain name, and you almost guaranteed yourself position one with just a one-page website. So things like that, Google cannot, because everyone was going out buying up all these domains, and it was just horrible out there. So again, Google stopped giving so much importance or so much weight towards a keyword-rich domain name. So all of these little fundamentals change, and there's little bits added in, but there's still the core concept of SEO being content and links is still there, and still two of the biggest factors when it comes to SEO. So a lot has changed, but the reality is the basic fundamentals are still the same.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting that some of the fundamentals are still relevant to this day. Even though when the SEO started out, and it still now is similar, but now the other factors, as you mentioned, are kind of like more regulated or restricted based off like what are the actions need to be taken, instead of like anybody who have like more resources can get the job done, but others are out. Correct?
Yeah, exactly. So obviously there's a lot of different factors that go into ranking a website, and obviously, like I say, the weight that was given towards an exact match domain name isn't the same as it was before. So all of these little things, the weight that's assigned to them changes, or the importance that Google give to them, which is why you see so many people when an update comes out, their website drops and everyone panics. So, you need to try in this day and age, not cheat, try and not cut corners, try and do the best you possibly can. And that's just the way it goes.
Yeah, 100%. Love it. Love it. One of the most curious question I love to ask for the people out there who's been in the space for a long time is how they were able to be relevant in the space. So like somebody who started like, over 2 decades, and like, being able to, first of all, stick to the field, and then staying relevant, and also planning ahead. So my question to you, similar to that, is like how you were able to make yourself relevant, first of all, in the past like 2 decades, and what's your plan to stay relevant now since AI also came along for the, let's say, next 10 years or more?
I think, you always do have to plan ahead, and that's where testing new things is really important. You can't, focus on your way is the only way to do things. You've got to embrace the technology and everything else that comes out. And with AI, we're getting new tools every other day. And we've got to embrace them. We've got to test them. We've got to understand how they work, how they can benefit us. And I think a lot of people are stubborn and they don't like to change their mindset. So once they do something a certain way, that's it. It's that way or no way. And I think that's a really dangerous mindset for people to have. I have always been an SEO. I love technology. I love tools. I love automation. And I think, always testing and trying to get a bit further ahead of the competition keeps me, hopefully at the top of the game, if you like. And I think that's just a thing. Obviously that means that I have to give up in other sides of the business. Am I an SEO or am I a guy who owns a business? And that's where it becomes difficult, because if you run a business, then you maybe take your eye off of the SEO side of things, and you need to decide which one of these you are. and whether you need to get a team round about you to supplement the stuff that you don't like doing. And obviously for me, I love SEO, and I have to have other people round about me doing the work that maybe takes up a lot of my time, and it's freeing up the time to keep on top of your game. And I think that's something that's vital, and something that you always have to do. It's something, when I ran my own digital marketing agency, I found it very difficult to find the time to keep on top of SEO, because a lot of people look at it and say, "Ah, Craig, you're always out at conferences. You're always out here, there, and everywhere." At these conferences is where you learn about the new tools or the smarter guys that are doing better things than you. So that you have to spend that time and invest that time into progressing your own skill set. And I know a lot of people say, "Oh, these guys are always at conferences. When do they ever do any work?" They couldn't be so wrong with that statement. And for me, that's where I've learned a lot of stuff, is just meeting with other like-minded individuals who are stuff, and I love it. So and meeting people from all over the world as well. Certain people in certain countries are just better at certain things, and it's one of those things that I've been fortunate to be able to meet a lot of these people that are out there, and hopefully continue to do so.
Yeah. I mean, like, a lot of people out there just don't see the unsexy side of it, like the things, the efforts that it actually took to run other things. But they see the sexy side, like, hey, Craig is on these conferences, he's a speaker, having fun. Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's amazing. I mean, the other part of the story that was really interesting about you is you really loved your craft, and you let outsourcing all the other factors of your company in general, because you loved doing what you were doing, which is SEO.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
That's really cool. So, like, a part of it, I'm pretty sure, like, you probably also saw a lot of other successful entrepreneurs, businesses, agencies who are doing these, like, massive mistakes. So things getting wrong in SEO. So, like, if you probably, like, list down, like, top three which are most common from everyone's perspective, like, what that is according to you.
I see a lot of people not doing the basics right. Every single time I do training or consultancy, and I ask people what they're doing, the basic fundamentals are not being done.
Yeah.
They're bypassing that. So the second thing would be the SOPs within the business. So the staff that are doing the job, are they doing a great job? In a lot of cases, no. Is that because the staff are shit? The answer is no. The processes and the procedures within that company are poor. So SOPs, that is really, really important to have in place. Repetitive tasks, document it, do a video tutorial, whatever it may be, and have that stuff, in place. And that is something that a lot of people are too lazy to do. They'd rather sit and hope that the next person that comes into the business knows what they're doing. And that's sadly not the case. When you go from agency to agency to agency, you'll probably see a wide range of different things being done in certain agencies. And so you can't rely on, you think someone's good at what they do. You need to give them the guidance and the direction through those SOPs. So that would be the second thing. Third thing, delegation kind of ties in with SOPs, but you have to be able to delegate out a lot of the work, and it's quite difficult to do. That's something I found quite hard. I had to be a bit of a control freak for a while, and that actually hampered my ability to grow.
Yeah.
So delegation is not done often. You'll probably find that the owner of the agency is doing way too much, and the staff are sitting twiddling their thumbs for half the day, and that is not right. So delegation is the other one that I see is very often not put in place, and that's because of a lack of trust, or the agency owner just doesn't have time to do the delegation properly.
Yeah.
They're too busy to even delegate. So yeah, I see that quite often.
Yeah, I mean, like that's definitely makes a lot of sense across like different agencies, like as per of your experience, like what they have actually faced, which actually led them to end up in a difficulty. Like that makes a lot of sense. I mean, my next question would definitely be around. So ever since the social media came along, and also Google and other search engine and stuff like that, I think the most two crucial part of the credibility in terms of vanities was one, the blue check marks, which is now being sold, but the other was the Google Knowledge Panel, which is the second thing, the marks of credibilities. uh, Now like people have started to be more strategic about, because earlier they think about you have to be a celebrity just to be on the Google Knowledge Panel, but now like things started to initiate in a different way. People started to be more strategic to be on the Google Knowledge Panel. Like, have you seen how for according to you the transition of just thinking about, like, it was just celebrity, you have to be like Tom Cruise just to be on the Google Knowledge Panel, to be strategic now so that you can end up being a knowledge panel even though you don't have like million subscribers? How you feel like that transitioning is coming along right now?
I mean, it's been easy to trigger a knowledge panel for a number of years,
Yeah.
based on joining the dots for Google and being on the right entities. Important. You have to obviously make Google think that you're an important person. Is essentially what you need to do. But I think that obviously it was previously only really for celebrities, as you say. But the
Yeah.
more websites, the more pages, the more everything that goes on to Google, Google has to kind of understand the person behind that and whether they are noteworthy of some description. And obviously, it's very hard for Google to, if they give a knowledge panel for Tom Cruise because he's in all of these kind of high-end entities and he's all over the press and everything else, then of course what is going to happen is SEOs are going to figure out what the hell triggers that
Yeah.
and place themselves there alongside, business owners and businessmen and everything else. So I think it's been going around for years, and even more so this year. You see more and more people getting
Yeah.
the knowledge panel and selling the knowledge panel service.
Exactly.
And I've got a long-winded story of how I got the knowledge panel. And I had to pretend to be an actor, and I ended up in a TV series and all this stuff, all to trigger a knowledge panel.
Oh wow.
So I went a long way around about it, but it's getting easier and easier now.
Yeah.
You don't need to do that stuff, and which thankfully, you don't want to be having to go on a TV series to try and trigger a knowledge panel. It's a lot of time and effort. It was fun stories, but yeah, that was how I managed to trigger mine. And as I say, there are easier ways now. There's gigs you can get to help you with that as well.
Yeah.
From the likes of Legit and so on and so forth. So yeah, I think it's important. But the blue tick thing, again, so many people are obsessed with getting it. And Elon Musk being the first one to say, fuck it,
Exactly.
I can take $11 or whatever it is, $13 off of all of these people who are it's an ego thing. It really doesn't do much for you. But if there's millions of people willing to pay for it, then Elon Musk is obviously coining it in as a result. And obviously Facebook and Instagram and so on and so forth have followed suit. So it makes a lot of money and a lot of people want it. So it's just harder now to distinguish who's credible and who's not, because anyone can
Exactly.
so
Yeah. Yeah, love it, love it. I mean, like, as you mentioned around Elon Musk, like he was the very first, I would say, just to stroke the egos for some who had verifications and feel like they are like on top of the world, like stuff like that. I like even like getting them removed, like have them to buy that as well because they were feel they were like, and then they were like, literally got pissed off just because of that one thing. Like why everybody else is just paying for it and getting this blue check mark, stuff like that. And even on the other side why is more people are able to figure out like how to get Google knowledge panels, stuff like that. So my follow-up question around that is, according to you, I would love to know your perspective about that. Do you think it is ethical for a person just to go and like buy these credibility marks, buy these Google knowledge panels for them so that they can become or they can look credible? I mean, like some people are really credible and then they're doing this. Okay, makes sense. For some, they're not. They're kind of like pretending it to be. So, like, what's your thought around that? Is it wise enough to do it that way? What do you think?
I mean, it's hard to say that it's the wrong thing to do. If I wasn't, obviously, I would like to think that I'm well established in the industry now
Yes.
and I've got my credibility. But I think, I would have bought those things if they were available to me. To make myself look more important. Why wouldn't you? I think the job for any entrepreneur or business owner or whatever you want to call it is to try and make yourself look as best you possibly can. Sometimes you have
Absolutely.
to fake it till you make it. And yeah, I see it as a good thing. It's not anyone's fault that Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and all that have allowed this to happen. You're taking advantage of legally what you're allowed to do, and if people are
Yeah.
stupid enough not to do their own due diligence on you, then that's on them. So I think if buying these things is legal to buy and easy to buy, why wouldn't you do it as a person trying to make their way in the world? We're all trying to put food on the table for our families, and if that means buying a blue tick gets me more business, then you better believe it. And I will be in there buying up whatever I need to
Yeah.
get to the next level. So I don't see any problems with it.
Awesome, awesome. I really love the perspective, like how you actually, explain this stuff. Like, love it. So, first of all, like, I would love to thank you for being on the podcast. It was amazing. Second thing, I want to know about like if people want to learn more from Craig, like, hey, where can I follow Craig? Like, where people should go and like hang out and be the part of your world.
So you could probably get me on Instagram, Craig Campbell SEO, or YouTube. I have a lot of videos, a lot of training, which is completely free of charge for people. And there is knowledge panel stuff on there. There is everything AI content, whatever is related. There's literally thousands of videos on there for tutorials to try and help others in the industry. So your best bet's to go there and see the thousands of videos I've put out over the years.
Awesome, awesome. Well, again, Craig, thank you so much. I mean, like, I'm pretty sure, like, in the coming years, I would love to like meet you in person. Like, I had the plan to be in Dubai, like when the Affiliate World Conference was happened, like Dubai, but the schedule was something ahead. Like, I came a little bit late, so I've been following you from quite a while. Big fan of your work. Again, thank you so much for being on the show today out there. I hope you had an amazing day.
No worries. Thank you very much.
Yep, truly appreciate it. Before rounding this up, my last question would be anything you want to say before we round the show up?
You put me in the spot there. It's anything I want to say to people. I would just say, I'm trying to think of something that's not going to get me into trouble. I think you've just got to keep learning. That's the thing. Don't let your ego get in the way. You've got to keep
Yeah.
trying to learn, regardless of what age you are or what stage of your career you're at. There's always ways to improve what you're doing. And that's the way I always go through things, still trying to learn, trying to embrace this AI stuff that's come out in the last 6 months. So every day is a learning day, that and you can't change that. And I see so many others who try and think they know it all, and they're so far off the mark. So all I would say is just try and keep an open mind, especially in the digital marketing space, because things move that fast. You've got to try and adapt and follow what people are doing and take advantage of it.
Yeah, love it. And also, guys, like as Steve Jobs said, stay hungry, stay foolish. Again, Craig, thank you so much for being on the show today, and we're definitely gonna see you guys in the next episode. Until